Welcome to Roland Garros Live with the team from Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. For 15 days, we'll have all the latest from Paris. Come and slide in to play with us on the Terre Battue. It is day 6 to Roland Garros. You're watching Roland Garros Live with us here on Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. I'm delighted to welcome in once again Vladimir Platenik, a long-time guest of the show. And right now, Vania King. Vania, your timing is impeccable. You join us just as we're going live. A warm welcome to you both.
Hello, everybody.
Vania, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Perfect. And Vlad, where are you coming in from?
I'm in Birmingham, England.
Birmingham in England, getting ready for the grass.
Yeah.
So just quickly, Vlad, last we spoke, you had just split up with Emma Raducanu. You kindly came on the podcast just to talk about that relationship. Now you're working with Linda Fruhvirtova, the young woman from Czechia. How is it going? Can you tell us how that came about, how the relationship began?
Yeah, well, we used to meet each other during the tournaments, and the father of Linda, he told me, if I would be available to get in touch with them. So after Emma, I called the father, and he was happy to give it a try. So now we are working maybe 6 weeks,
Okay.
if I'm correct. So yeah, well, I mean, Linda is an amazing worker. She really likes to work a lot of hours. And we try to do as much as we can. For me, it's not about maybe the amount of hours on the court. It's more about what we are doing on the court.
Yes.
And she's a young player, and for me, I like to work with her because she's really willing to work, and she's really willing to listen. This is most important for me. And from the tennis point of I would say yes. There needs to be few changes in her game, not dramatic changes, but she needs to play a little bit more aggressive. We work a lot on the serve, which actually is going very well, and then she needs to work on her fitness. She needs to get stronger and faster. But it comes all together with the aggressive game. For my taste, she was playing a little bit too slow, and
Okay.
yeah, so for now, we are in a development kind of phase, but it's very difficult because we are also in the season. So
I know it's probably the worst time to get together with somebody, Vlad, but if anyone can do it, I'd imagine you can. I'm sure we'll see Linda back in the top 50 very, very soon. You are getting ready for the grass. Vania, I was just looking at your clay court results. Semi-finals at the French Open in doubles. You got to the third round in singles. How did you like clay compared to hard courts and grass?
It was actually my least favorite surface. Up until I was about 22 or so, I grew up in Southern California on fast hard courts. I didn't even know if clay courts existed at the time. Now there's a couple of, but mostly just hard courts where I grew up. So I didn't actually play on my first clay court till I was 18. And Roland Garros was the first time that I played on red clay. I played qualies there early on in my career. And then I did have a French coach, Tariq Benhabilas,
Yes,
who convinced me. He said, it really is just a matter of doing the right work. And of course, I didn't believe him in the beginning, but we did some extensive training one year when I started working with him, really from the basics of learning how to move on the court, learning how to slide, understanding the strategy behind it, the patience that you need to have. And then I would say that clay moved up one tick to above grass, but below hard.
Oh. Vlad, just looking at the clay courts, what is important? If you haven't learnt on clay, if you haven't been brought up on clay, how do you develop a good clay court player?
Well, first of all, I think especially for the American players, it's very difficult for them to move.
And the Brits.
Because, yeah, I mean, they have the green clay in the US, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
The red clay is much more slippery, and there is many times, even with professionals, I had some amazing stories where Actually, even they were ranked in top 20. They were not using the correct shoes, for example, for clay.
Wow.
So make sure you wearing the correct shoes for red clay. And obviously, it's actually at the French Open, it's a little bit easier because the courts are very fast, and the quality of the court is perfect. So you can still kind of play hardcore tennis on clay.
Oh.
But for me, what is difficult is to understand, like you have more options on clay. You have more options. You can go back, a little bit, spin the ball, put a little bit more shape on the ball, be ready for longer rallies.
Yes.
So it's a little bit more variety in the game, and I think it's good for everybody because then you can also use it on hard courts, and you have to learn a little bit better kicking, kick serve.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's more strategical on clay because it's a little bit slower, and you can slide and you need to use a little bit more spin. But I really like it because with many players right now, which I work with, like Lulu or Elvina Kaleva, which are used to play a lot on faster surfaces in US. The clay actually improved their game in general. They started to play a little bit more spin.
Yeah.
And they became a little bit more solid. They started to move better. So I think the clay helped even the game on hard courts, because hard courts, it's actually the surface where you play 70% of the year when you are a top player. So,
luckily for Vania.
yeah. Vania killed me in US Open finals in New York doubles. She hit like amazing shot, on match point, I think, in the finals. I don't know if you remember.
Who was your player at the time, Vlado?
I was with Nadia Petrova, and Nadia hit
Do you remember this,
amazing
Vania?
return. Nadia hit amazing return cross court, and she went for a volley, and Vania just hit like a half volley down the line winner on the line, and I was going to like just go for challenge, and the girls, they didn't challenge the ball, and then actually they Vania and Yaroslava, they evened the match, and it started to rain, and they had to finish the next day. And I think it was like 7-6 or 7-5 in the third. They won the match, so I was so upset about it.
There's 1-0 with our guest today.
Oh yeah, this was unbelievable match. I mean, it was nice. To be in the finals of Grand Slam is always nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Vania, you are a two-time major champion, Roland Garros, the one that didn't go your way, although, as we've said, you got close. Do you have any near misses that you remember from Roland Garros?
So, I mean, funnily enough, at Roland Garros, I lost in the mixed doubles final. I played with Marcelo Mello against Bob Bryan and Liesl Huber. And in that match, Marcelo, this was prior to him winning 2 slams as well. He was very successful in doubles. And we were walking into Chartrier, and he says to me, Vania, this is the first time that a Brazilian has made the finals of Roland Garros since Guga. And I'm thinking, oh shit, like,
no pressure.
This is not good. This is not good. But we were up a set, and Liesl was serving 4-5, love 30. And not saying that it's a guarantee that would win, but my returns were one of the best parts of my game when it was on. And I remember Marcelo came to me, and we were telling, I actually, before I returned, I would tell my partner where I returned. I would make a decision in doubles before I returned. And so he came to me, and I said, okay, I think Bob's going to cross. I really want to go down the line. I also really love to go down the line. I think there's a lot of benefits to it in doubles. And he was like, no, I think we should be safe. We should just play cross.
No.
I didn't want to fight him on it. So we did 4 perfect cross court returns, and Bob poached 4 times, and then we ended up losing in the super tie break. And then I told myself after that, I mean, it was not Marcelo's fault. I had agreed.
Of course not.
And
it was his fault, absolutely. He needs to listen to the woman. Woman is always right. You have the feeling. You have the feeling. You have the feeling.
I was a happily married man.
Yeah, I am.
After that match, I said to myself, you know what, like, I have to trust my instinct. If I'm going to say something, if I'm going to go for it, I'd rather take a chance and miss it, taking my chance, than feeling like I let it hit me instead, and so actually in that finals match, there was that very lucky, I would say, half volley that I hit. But I think it was to go up match point. There was one crucial moment in the tiebreak of the third set against Nadia and Liesl. Now, fast forward to US Open in the doubles final, and Liesl is in front of me again. And I had a return, and I could hear Marcelo's voice in my head saying, "Go cross court." I was like, "Nope, I'm not going cross court." So I went down the line, and Liesl, I mean, she didn't really try to poach, but she was, kind of leaning.
It was impossible to catch this shot. It was right in the corner, and I would say it was a little out, and I would challenge it because it was so important. I don't know why the girls didn't challenge it. I was like so upset about it.
They probably should have, but I remember hitting that ball, and then I think that took us to match point. But I just remember it was a huge.
Yeah, it was so important point. Yeah.
And thanks to Marcelo for letting me get there.
Thank you, Marcelo. Lost one, but won one. I always think tennis players and tennis coaches are like elephants. You guys never forget. Like certain points, it's unbelievable the memories you have.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to be a top player, you have to analyze every situation, and this is exactly what Vania just said. That this is what makes you better, because you remember these situations and you try to change something, and then you win the matches. And if you are not able to do that, it's quite difficult.
Okay, let's get on to today's results. We're going to talk a little bit about today's results, look ahead to tomorrow's, where you're watching Roland Garros live. We're on Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach on YouTube. And by the way, good news, not on the tennis court, but Taylor Swift. I don't know if you've seen this, Vania, probably more so than Vladimir, who I'd imagine doesn't care. But she has acquired the master recordings of her first 6 albums, Vlado. It's her greatest dream come true. I'm a huge Swiftie. Vania, your thoughts?
I was not aware of that, but I do know that Travis, her boyfriend, just bought a place in Boca Raton, which is actually where I live. I'm down in Miami because my boyfriend lives here, but I live in Boca Raton. So all the Boca Ratonians are very excited about it. Like,
you're going to be neighbors.
I'm like, maybe I'll see her at my favorite coffee shop. Who knows?
Very cool. Well, please call me.
No, she's good, but I'm Dua Lipa fan. I'm sorry,
You're Dua Lipa. You can like both, Vlado. You don't have to separate.
I like both, but I'm Dua Lipa fan.
All right. I love Dua Lipa as well. Okay, let's get on to the men's results. Firstly, Lorenzo Musetti, both of you, is 23-7 this season. He lost 1 set so far in his 3 Roland Garros matches. He's beaten Yannick Hanfmann, Daniel Galan, and now Mariano Navoni. This is the 3rd time he's been to the round of 16 now at Roland Garros. He has had a wonderful time on the clay courts. He's got to all 3 of the semi-finals at the Masters on clay, now into the round of 16 at Roland Garros. Let's start with you, Vlado. What do you like about Lorenzo Musetti's game, and can he win Roland Garros this year?
Oh, I like his backhand. I think he's a very good player. I don't like the forehand so much. I think the swing is too big, and he gets in troubles with the players who play faster and more solid. So I don't think he will win, but he's a very sympathetic guy, and I think I wish him to win it. I just I don't think that he has enough game, to go through, quarters, semis, finals to be able to beat, because these guys in the quarters, semis, finals, they play so fast and so solid, and then his weaknesses are exposed.
And Vania, we've just put a quote on today. This is from Lorenzo. Today it felt completely different in terms of conditions from the last 2 matches. The ball was bouncing not that high. And today at the beginning, I was a bit surprised. It was a lot warmer today than it has been. How is that different on the clay when it's cool compared to when it's warm? And how different does the ball bounce?
Yeah, I mean, that the speed of the ball, the heaviness of the ball, the conditions can change that a lot, and it can mean a very different type of match. So, if it's cool outside, if there's humidity, temperature, all of that can really mean a different sort of match. So for someone like Musetti, that could mean either exposing weaknesses more or helping him elevate his strengths more. So, it's very important for coaches. I'm sure Vlad has a lot of experience with that, but, as we're working with the different surfaces and the different conditions, making sure that you fix your game plan accordingly.
Okay. And Vlado, I'm just putting another quote on here for Lorenzo Massetti. It says, I put some order in my tennis chaos. My game is varied, so it's not easy for me to make a decision. The click is now I know what to do on court. And I think that's so interesting that he's finally come to the realization what shot he needs to hit at the right time. How long generally does that take players to work out, and why is it so important?
Well, obviously, it's the percentage game. Like if you are trying to just hit down the line from any shot, it's very risky game. And when you see the top guys and it comes to 5-all in the fifth or 4-all, in deciding set, they use more cross-court shots. They put a lot more spin. I was once talking to Marcos Bagdatis, actually at Roland Garros. We were sitting just waiting for the practice, and he said, Vlad, I was so stupid when I was young. I was bored, all these guys like Roger and Rafa and Novak, like it doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. or 12 p.m. or whatever, they can hit 100 cross courts in the corner. And me, I would get bored and I would play second shot, drop shot, or down the line or slice or something because I was bored. And then when it comes to 5-all, these guys, they're putting 100 balls in the corner, cross court, putting pressure. So these are the things that, you can tell as a coach, you can say, yeah, play cross court because it's safer. But the cross court has to have the quality, so you don't get attacked down the line, So,
yes.
And you have to practice on this, and obviously you have to serve smart because everything starts with the serve and return, so you can choose to risk and go in for the return, or you can go back like Medvedev, or most of the guys now on clay, you can see they're standing very far to start the rally in the big moments. Yesterday I was showing to Linda, actually when Sinner was playing, I was showing her how far he's standing. So in the big moments, in the finishing of the match or set, he was putting pressure because he was putting a very solid and deep returns, and then he started the rally. So it's not atom physics. Huh? It's something which all the best players do many years. I'm just wondering like why these guys are finding out this so late. Either it's a bad coaching or it's the stubbornness. That they don't want to learn. Like also Vania said, like, I didn't believe Tariq, I can play on clay, But obviously it was the beginning of the relationship probably, and you need to get the trust of the coach. So this is very important that you start winning and you see that all the know-how and the knowledge from the coach works, and then you start using it. But Musetti is already a couple of years. He's a great player, so I'm a little bit surprised that he's just getting it now.
He's just clicking. Vania, we put another quote up from Lorenzo. He said, I grew up in the attitude and the mental side. A match like this a few years ago, I don't know if I would have come back. He lost the first set. Did you always have a good attitude? Did you develop a better attitude as you got older and wiser, or did it go the other way?
Honestly, I think Vlad could answer that question better than me because I think that I had a good attitude. I always
you had. Vania was very calm player. Vania was unbelievable calm player. I was always thinking like she's always smiling, this girl, whenever I met her in the nightclub or I met her on the tennis court, she always had a smile on her face, Yeah, I know. But the tour is not easy. There is a lot of ego going around on the tour, and Vania was one of the nicest girls and very, very kind person so many years. So I have good memories. And obviously, it depends. Italian, they are very, very temperament, and it takes time. It takes time. Even Roger, when he was young, he was not having his attitude under control. So again, it's a development. It's a development. Somebody needs to learn. I think also I like Djokovic, what he said, that he's very temperament guy. He's very emotional, but he learned how to get back very quickly. Even he would get angry. He said the most important thing is to come back quickly from this angriness. And this is important. Like everybody has to learn to deal with it. Sabalenka, look at Sabalenka. She was working with psychologists and whatever, and then she said, "Okay, I can do it on my own," because actually it is your decision. I don't want to say this, but I don't like to work with psychologists because I think the good coach can always direct the player in a correct way and find a way for each player. Like I said, okay, you can swear, you can throw the racket, but then be ready for the next point.
Yeah.
If you need it, because sometimes, you know, some players, they try to be calm and they kind of die on the court because they are so much trying to control the emotions, and then they are not themselves. They are not able to play. So you as a coach, you need to find and you need to see what kind of player you have, and then work with it, you know, and try to adjust to every player. So yes, it's sometimes difficult. Sometimes you know, people are very calm from nature, like Vania. I don't know, but that's what it looked like. And
so Vania, just butting in, did you ever feel frustrated when you were growing up through the ranks? You know, if things weren't going your way, how did you calm down, or were you just always calm?
Well, again, it's really heartwarming to hear Vlad's interpretation of it, because I did not feel calm inside, but I always felt it was very important for me to stay calm, because I was not someone that did well. If I got angry, it would negatively impact my performance. So I tried to keep everything, you know, as disciplined as I could. And once in a while, I'd let myself scream and shout a little bit. And it was also very important to me, both on and off the court, to be sportsmanlike. So I think that also kind of reflected in my behavior. So I appreciate Vlad's comments there. I mean, it's quite interesting, you know, his thoughts on it. My coach Tariq had said to me, as Vlad is talking about, like, every player is a little bit different. Tariq said to me, you know, every player has a different intensity that they work best in, which is the same as what Vlad is saying. And so, you know, for example, Serena might be someone that at her best, even though she tried to be calm, but really at her best played at a higher intensity. So he'd say, you know, if Serena's trying to be a 2, she's trying to be calm and peaceful and she doesn't play well, you know, she really needs to get up to an 8. But someone like Roger is playing his best at a 3, you know, and Nadal maybe a 7. So I think for me, it was like a 6 or so. Externally, I tried to stay very calm. Internally, there was a lot going on. But yeah, I mean, as we're younger, as a lot of the players, I think we forget, they're kids, you know, they're still developing, their brains are still developing. It's hard to manage your emotions. It's hard to manage the pressures. You know, you have to be an adult at such a young age, and you have to deal with things that most adults never have to deal with. So, you know, it's very, I would say, normal to have some fluctuations when you're younger. And then as you get older, a lot of this calms out naturally. And then, of course, because you want to be successful, you get some help externally as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
I love the intensity levels.
It's all about the guidance. It's all about the guidance. And I really believe it's about the people around you, you know, the right team. And you know, Tariq was an unbelievable coach, you know, with a lot of great results. So, you know, this is also the confirmation that, you know, when you have the right people around you, you know, you can learn a lot.
Brilliant. I actually know Tariq Benavides from my playing days, which wasn't nearly as successful as you, but he has been around and he is one of the best, as is our coach on hand today, Vladimir Platenik. Just having a look at some other results today. Tommy Paul beat Karen Khachanov in 5 sets. Holger Rune also had a 5-setter against Conta Alice, so another Frenchman bites the dust. Ben Shelton got the rights of Gigante of Italy in 3 sets. Dan Altmaier continues his run. He beat Hamad Medjedovic. I was going to bring on to Alexei Popyrin, Vlad, because he's got a new coach in Wayne Ferreira. Before this year is his 7th Roland Garros. He'd never got past the 2nd round. Now he's in the 4th round, and on clay, he's 9-5. That's not bad for an Australian. It just shows, doesn't it, when you find a coach that works with your game, that the results can come quite quickly.
Well, yes, I mean, I know this guy since he was 16, because when we were, you know, we were building the academy in Slovakia, we had like a lot of young players in the academy, and I was working with the young Russian player Artem Dubrivny. He actually beat him in a clay court tournament in Austria, and I was coaching him and Kasatkina at that time. And well, he was an average player. You know, he had a lot of problems with the forehand. I wouldn't say that he would make such a good career. And
Wow.
you know, when I'm following his career, he was always trying to bring like a good coaches. You know, he was working for a while with another Slovak, Dominik Herbati, which was like top 15 ATP, very hardworking guy. So I see that, you know, I don't know if it's his management or if it's him personally. You know, I think he was working with Malise, you know, so another top player. So I think he
Yeah.
always was trying to kind of invest and you know, have good people around him, and that's another proof. That's another proof that, you know, like, you don't have to be the best junior, or you don't have to have the best results, but as a junior, but you are developing, you have good people around you, and look at it, you know, like, he's playing amazing. I think, like I said, he's not the original kind of Australian. He practices a lot in Europe. He's Russian.
Yes.
And so, like I told you, he already when he was 16, he was playing all these clay court tournaments in Europe. So I think he is more, you know, European than Australian. But it doesn't matter. Like, his career is unbelievable. You know, it went up so much now, and it's deserved. It's deserved. He's playing well.
Very well. And Wayne Ferreira's done a fantastic job with him, particularly on the clay courts. Results just come through. Francis Tiafoe has beaten Sebi Korda, so an all US battle. But it's looking quite bright, Vania, for US men. So we've got Ben Shelton through today, Tommy Paul, and now Francis Tiafoe. How much do you know those guys? Are you, or were you based at the USTA campus for some time?
So they're a bit younger than I am. I'm not that close with them because they're a couple of generations beneath me. But Francis, Tommy, I think Francis and Tommy were both based in Boca at USTA when it was there. So they grew up together, they dormed together, and they had a really good cohort coming up. And I think it shows that it's very important to have good competition. You know, it's very hard to be isolated on your own. And so in the States, sometimes that's difficult because it's so big. The country is so big. And we see in Europe, you know, there's a lot of competition between countries because it's more accessible. So I think that, you know, Francis and Tommy are showing that having great competition can spur success.
Absolutely. And of course, Ben Shelton coached by his father, Brian, that helps. Coaching changes. We've just heard that Stefanos Tsitsipas, who was beaten in round 2, has now decided he's definitely going to work with Goran Ivanisevic. Of course, Goran helping Novak claim 9 out of his 24 majors. Ivanisevic has also had short stints with Rybakina, and he's worked with the likes of Marin Cilic, Thomas Berdych, and Milos Raonic. Vlad, I wondered what you thought about that relationship, Ivanisevic with Stefanos Tsitsipas. Do you think it will work?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think, you know, again, it's this little bit same problem like Musetti. You know, that Stefanos is missing a little bit the more aggressive, more powerful game. I'm not sure if he can develop this through technique. I think it's for him. It's more about physique. I think he can get a little bit stronger physically, Stefanos. And definitely, I think he can improve his serve because for me, Stefanos, for his height, his serve is not good enough. You know, so I think this could be a big game change for Stefanos, that Ivanisevic can maybe help him a little bit with the serve. You know.
Yes.
But it's gonna be difficult because the technique is not as clean. You know, and his toss is not good. For my opinion, or my opinion is that his toss is not good. So there is an option, but it will be difficult because I don't know how much he's willing to change things. You know, Stefanos.
Stefanos, for many years, of course, Vania was coached by his father, who wasn't, I don't believe, a trained tennis coach. Were you ever coached by a parent? And when, if you were, when did you move on to somebody who wasn't related to you?
I believe Stefanos's mother was a Russian player.
That's right. She was a very good
Yes.
player, but I don't think she was a trained coach, so to speak.
No, I don't think so. But I'm sure that they had her at least to have that guidance. I don't think his father was a tennis player. I was coached by my father
Okay.
basically when I started up until I was 19. It was also a contentious relationship. It was very challenging. It's very difficult to mix business slash professional and personal relationships. And we see that quite a lot in the tennis industry. It's very challenging to navigate. It's not that it can't be done, but it's very challenging, especially when you're dealing with a parent-child relationship, because the child is now also growing and developing and becoming more and more independent and autonomous. And it's often hard for a parent to let go, and because they've also often invested a lot in their child's career. So I think when I see Stefanos from the outside, again, he's also younger than me as well. I mean, I think his family is incredibly important to him. And I think he's trying to really, as he gets older, navigate, what the boundaries are between himself, his career, and his family. I think Goran, as Vlad said, there's potential. I am curious to see how committed Stefanos will be in listening to Goran, because I think Goran has the mental toughness to impart upon him. So, I mean, I hope that for Stefanos, I mean, he's such a talented player. He's gotten, very close to the top. And so, he's so close, and, it would be a shame, like, to not try and do something a little bit different to try to get.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago, was it, that Stefanos was one set away from clinching the Roland Garros title. It was just a massive comeback from Novak Djokovic that year. Let's swing on now to the women's side, the WTA side of things at Roland Garros. Today, Zhang Qinwen still hasn't lost on Philippe Chatrier in a year, because she, of course, won Olympic gold. She has taken out the youngster from Canada, Vicky Mboko, Vlado. I don't know if you've had any chance to watch Vicky play this week at Roland Garros and what your thoughts were, but she looks like a bit of a superstar.
Yeah, I watched her and I know her obviously because that's what I do. We spend some time together on the Challenger or ITF circuit with her. I think when I worked with Elvina Kaleva, I think once or twice she beat her, like 2 years ago. Very powerful player. She was also with the dad, with her dad there, and it's a little bit the same story. I think obviously the dad is trying to help his daughter, and it's not easy, for him or for the coach, because he needs to trust the coach. And then also he knows that, she's very talented. There is 1 million people coming and telling him, oh, your daughter is so good and she's going to be so good. And then the father, is a little bit like, yeah, everybody wants to coach my daughter. So it's a privilege to coach my daughter. That was a little bit the rumors that I heard from the coaches, which were working with her 2 years ago. And like Vania said, it's very difficult, because always, in the career of the kid, the parents are the most important, because they are, giving you the character, the knowledge, the intelligence, whatever, they are teaching you all the necessary things. But then it's very difficult for them to let go, because they are afraid to give the kid to somebody who they don't know, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously there is also a lot of bad people, a lot of bad coaches who are trying to really get advantage, and they actually destroy the talent, our talented players. Me, myself, not many people know, but I was 9 in the World Juniors, and my father was really a very difficult person. Even he was very educated. He was a champion of Czechoslovakia in gymnastics, and he had very good eye for technique, because gymnastics is very technical, thing, but he didn't understand the psychology of tennis, the decisions you need to make on the court. So yes, he did a very good job developing me as a kid, as a junior. But then, obviously, also that's not only his mistake, it's also the mistake of the system, because there was no money in Czechoslovakia. So there was no chance for me to get a coach or work with the coach. So these are the things that, like I said, this girl is super talented. I hope that, the father will find, or they found a coach who can help her further. It looks like she's doing well. She has a big game. Which needs to be also developed now, because I think, yeah, she's beating a lot of players, younger players, or players who doesn't have this physical, ability that she has. But if she wants to go further, also I see a lot of flaws in the technique and in the tactics. So yeah, I mean, definitely great player, dangerous player when she has a good day, but and again, she needs to be developed further.
Interesting. Well, you might be getting a call. You're going to be inundated here.
No,
This is going to be trouble.
no.
Vania, let's get back to US women now. Amanda Anisimova has just beaten Clara Towson. It was straight sets, close one, 7-6, 6-4. Anisimova was a semi-finalist here 6 years ago, lost to Ash Barty in 2019. Still only 23. She's going to take on Sabalenka next. She actually has a 5-2 head-to-head lead against the current world number one. I'm interested from your point of view. Anisimova, of course, took that mental break from the game. She looks like she's playing as well as ever. And it's an interesting one because it takes a lot of guts, doesn't it, to leave the game for that time because you've got sponsors, you've got people relying on you. But she obviously felt that that was the right thing for her. And would you agree that it's proved to be so?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more normalized to take mental health breaks. I am really happy to see it because every professional player goes through really challenging times. It's not easy to be out there, and she also went through a really difficult period where her father passed away, and so I can only imagine the challenge of that, and so I'm very glad that she took the time away that she needed, and also very glad that she was able to come back to the sport. It shows me that she really does love the sport, and so hopefully, and I'm sure she does, appreciate each of the moments that she has now. She's always been an incredibly talented player, strikes the ball really well, hits very cleanly, has a lot of depth and power behind her shots. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Davenport type of a player where the ball comes off very deep and
comparison.
Which so it doesn't surprise me that her record against Sabalenka is that good. Because Sabalenka tries to dominate all of her opponents, but if someone can put pressure on her, then she's not comfortable. So it's going to be an interesting match, and Towson is a difficult opponent too. She has a lot of power, so it's showing that Amanda's playing really well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Yeah, go Vlad.
I love it too. I was following her because also I was having an offer to coach her just before she took a break, and I saw it. She was burned out, and like Vania said, it's so good, and I think many players should consider doing this, if they're feeling so bad, because I always say you make one step back and then you make two steps forward. And when you are feeling so exhausted or so tired and so much pressure, especially the young players, because obviously we have so many examples of young players burnout. We can talk about in the past Capriati, Hingis, even Bencic, all these girls, they it's too much pressure. They are so good, like 17, 18, and then all the pressure, all the newspapers, all the money, all the management, so I think that it's very difficult for like 18, 19 years old girl to have all this around. And like you said, with the passing of her dad, so I was really happy when she came back, because like you said, she's super talented, and I can say that she has a very good coach now. And I like Rick, because Rick is a worker. He's not a big name coach. He did a very good job with Mertens. He took Mertens to top 10. And these are the coaches that I like, because they are changing, players' lives, and he's really living everything with Amanda, every day. I see how important it is, like for him to help the player, and he's feeling the player. How do you say, like
he understands her.
He's very empathic, and he's a good coach. He knows the game, and he did a great job. So I really like this combination, and it's showing results. And yes, Amanda can beat Sabalenka, because Sabalenka, she can. It's easier for her if somebody has no big serve, and the girls with the big serve, it's a problem for her, because then the girls are holding the serve and they put the pressure on the return if Sabalenka is not serving well, and this is a big problem. This is also a big problem for Iga. Players like Rybakina, or which are having big serves and big returns, because they are not able to dictate from the first shot.
Yeah, very good. We'll talk about Rybakina shortly. We've got a quote here, Vania, from Amanda, who says the wins aren't going to happen if you're not happy off the court. And I just wondered how relevant that was overall for WTA players, and also for you, if you had any stories of kind of being happy on court and results coming.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was a period of time, I was 25 and I had some significant injuries. I had a herniated disc in my back and a few bulging discs, but also simultaneously I was very burned out, and I actually ended up taking a year off. I ended up stopping without the expectation of coming back. And so sometimes I do see players and they take time off. And I think that's helpful, but sometimes players are in a position in their career, maybe that their parents forced them to play and they're kind of at a reckoning point. They're old enough to realize, hey, is this really the choices that I wanted to make in my life? They wake up and maybe it's somebody else's life that they're living. And at that point, I feel like, it might be good for them to just step away and see what life is like outside without the pressure of having to come back. And so I'm very appreciative of that year that I had off, or that time, to that space, because it also not only gave me the space to heal, but it also made me realize how much I love the sport. I also, during that time, I was working a little bit, which helped me realize and appreciate tennis, because I worked as a substitute teacher in urban charter schools in LA, and I was making like $12 an hour, and I was commuting 2 hours back and forth to downtown LA. And so I thought to myself, wow, okay, tennis is not so bad after put a lot of work in, but it really helped me see that tennis was something that I wanted to be part of my life, and had the space to decide.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
So good. These young players, they should have this experience too. Just work for 12 hours an hour.
Yeah.
And see,
in that kind of job,
it's not so easy, without tennis.
Vlad, we've got a quote from Amanda Missimova. She was just talking about it's been quite a ride. I think the most important thing is the people I surround myself, the team I have. You're talking about here, Coach Rick Vleeshauers. I think that's what drives me every day, especially having fun off the court. How do you make sure your players enjoy their time on the circuit?
Exactly. You have to have the right people, and it's Amanda says it, and Vania says it, and like I said, the player. Some people say like, forget about the balance. You have to work. But it's not everybody is able to do that. And then, like I said, the coach has to understand and try to adjust to the player and know when it's time to not talk too much and give free time and to the player and go have fun. Like when I was working, especially with Cibulkova, she was kind of how can I say that? She was a fireball. So when she was off the court, it was a lot of party, boys, this and that. So I was like, listen, Domi, let's do this 3-4 weeks. We prepare, we play 2-3 tournaments, we come back home. Then I give you a couple of days, go have fun. But when we work. So this was the important thing, that she knew that I'm giving her some time off where she can have fun or whatever, she can do her stuff and have her private life. But when we were working, and it was good, and she was happy because she was improving, and so this is the thing that I said, that Rick is a good coach because he's feeling the player, he's feeling what Amanda needs. And it's another confirmation, all these quotes from Amanda, that she's happy off the court, that she's happy with her team because the team understands her, the team is giving her the right advice, technically, tactically, physically, and also probably in the private life. So this is the result of it.
Yeah, very good. Talking of good coaches, Danilo Pizzorno is the coach of Ludmila Samsonova, based in Italy, and she has beaten Diana Yastremska. Sabalenka, of course, earned her route through against Anisimova by beating Olga Danilovic 2-3. Sabalenka hasn't won Roland Garros, but she has got 3 major titles and is arguably the favourite. Let's talk about the four-time champ, everybody. Iga Swiatek has beaten Jacqueline Christian 2-5, Vania. She's now won 24 straight matches at Roland Garros. We'll play Elena Rybakina next. We'll talk about that matchup. But firstly, Iga, 24 straight matches at one venue in one tournament, which is one of the biggest in the world. Put that into perspective for us.
Well, I certainly never got close to that, so I don't really know what that feels like. But
you know how hard it is to even get near that.
I mean, and also the pressure of playing at Grand Slam. So playing, not just performing at that level, but performing it consistently at the biggest stages. Vlad says this over and over, but it's, really about who you surround yourself by. So, she's put a team around herself that's very disciplined, very focused, very committed to her. And she herself is very much that way. So, she's out there doing the same thing every day, same routines, because, why change the playbook?
Yeah, it's certainly working. Vlad, I suppose we're not really speaking about Iga as much as we have been, because she's now world number 5, hasn't won a title in 2025. Is she, in your mind, the favourite, though, to win the WTA title?
She's one of the favorites. Yes, she's one of the favorites. For me, it's another amazing story, because also when I was working with Angelina Kalinina in, I think, 2019, we played some tournaments in US on green clay, and Iga was there and in a couple of tournaments with us, and she was not doing well. I was not thinking that she would be so amazing. So it's another proof, that I was wrong. But I know that already at that time, I was really admiring the work of the fitness coach over there. She's not with her anymore, but I know that they were working a few years together before she won the first Roland Garros tournament, the first Grand Slam, and she was doing an amazing job with her. And Iga was already at that time, she was super focused. She was super focused. And then I really admire how disciplined this girl is. Like, this girl is, I think, the most disciplined player,
Wow.
Man and woman. I don't know what to say. I don't know about Novak, but this one is so disciplined, and the result she did, it's amazing. Yeah. So obviously, she's one of the favorites. Even she had some hiccups, but it's not possible to not have hiccups after so many years on the top. Also the energy and the focus and the pressure. It's still amazing, what she did, what she's doing. So yeah, for me, it's Sabalenka, Iga. Now Rybakina starting to play quite well, which is dangerous player and always dangerous for Iga because of the big game. So yeah, I mean, these 3 girls now, they're quite favorite. I don't know about Queen Wen. It depends, how good the other players are playing, because they have a bigger game than Queen Wen. Even she's playing good on clay. But I think it will be difficult for her to win. Yeah.
All right. So you've got 3 there. Talking of Rybakina, Vania, she has beaten the 2017 champion Jelena Ostapenko, and it wasn't close, 2-2. I'm sure that Iga is like having a victory dance right now, because, of course, Jelena Ostapenko is 6-0 against Iga Swiatek. But as Vlado said, Rybakina won't be that much easier, will it, for Iga? Although I'd imagine that she's pretty pleased that Rybakina won that match. Your thoughts?
Well, it's not easy to play someone that you have that bad of a losing record. So I'm sure it's a lesser of 2 evils, because they're difficult for her.
Exactly. It's not easy. The next round is not easy for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also showing that Rybakina is playing really well, because Ostapenko, especially on clay and with this type of clay court, she's really able to hit through the court. Sabalenka as well, just crushing the balls through the court. So Rybakina has been playing well for the last couple of weeks, and Swiatek is going to have a difficult match ahead of her.
Yeah, it sure is. That's a really nasty one. Jasmine Paolini, another winner today. Of course, she won in Rome. The Italian, the Spitfire. Talking of fireballs, a little in the Dominika Cibulkova, Vlad, style, isn't she? Jasmine Paolini. She's beaten Yulia Starodubtseva, who's ranked 81 in the world, to reach the fourth round and will face either Elina Svitolina or Bernarda Pera next. That's the only WTA match ongoing right now. Svitolina up a set. It's 3-all with the Croatian-born USA player. What do you think of Jasmine Paolini?
I always liked her, even when she was ranked a little bit lower. She's really a power ball, and yes, she reminds me a lot of Dominika. So yes, amazing career. I really like her attitude. I like her energy on the court. Always smiling, also like Vania. same attitude. Very happy person. And I see that she's really enjoying herself. I was watching a little bit the match today with Starodubtseva. I think Starodubtseva is a great player, but she has problem with higher ranked players a little bit. I think she has too much respect. I think she can play much better than what she showed today. But okay, it's good for Paolini. I think the next round also. I think. It's gonna be difficult because Elina is playing really well. Svitolina right now, she's dangerous to a lot of players. So, but it's a still better draw than Rybakina, or Swiatek. So yes, I mean, she's on a good way to go far this year.
You're watching Roland Garros live on YouTube, Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach podcast, joined by Vlado Platenik, superb coach, and Vania King, a superb player. As was, of course, Vlado, as you said, one of the best in the junior days, had a great ATP pro career as well. Just looking ahead to tomorrow, we've got Daria Kasatkina against Paula Badosa, Mira Andreeva up against Yulia Putintseva, Marketa Vondrousova, former Wimbledon champion, up against Jessie Pegula. We've got Veronika Kudermetova facing Ekaterina Alexandrova. Hayley Baptiste, who's been superb this year, is facing Jessica Buzaz-Monero, she of the one and love victory over Emma Navarro in the first round. Marie Boskova is taking on Coco Gauff, the second seed, and Madison Keys, seeded seventh, is facing Sonia Kenin. A lot of US players in there, Vania. Which one, if you had to stake your home on, would you put your money on to win Roland Garros this year?
Oh, to win Roland Garros. Oh, that's tough.
Would you go for Coco?
Yeah, I would. Let me see. We've got Coco, Madison.
We've got Baptiste, Pegula, and Kenin.
Jessie. I mean, I think Coco. I think Coco of them all.
As long as she has her rackets.
Yes, and as long as she stays fit, which she typically is. But I think the draw will have to open up for her.
Okay. Second seed and a lot of pressure, but she seems, Vania, to handle it brilliantly, Coco Gauff, despite still being so young.
Yeah, I mean, she's a veteran now, and she came on tour at 14, beat Venus at Wimbledon, and and ever since has really exceeded expectations. I think everybody expected her to break at some point. It's just it felt like it was impossible for someone so young with that much pressure and that much hype and notoriety, and she's also just a lovely person off court as well. So it's been really nice to see her overcome all of those challenges. And again, she's got a great team behind her. Family's very involved. So they're very protective of her and making sure that, she has no, negative outside influences. So I think that they've done a great job in making sure that she can stay supported and positive.
And Vlado, on the women's side of the US players, who do you think is going to go the furthest?
I would say Madison Keys.
Okay.
I really like the way she plays. I always said, I always have this like underachievers and overachievers. And she was always an underachiever, and I said to her agent, I said, like, the best thing is that she got married to Bjorn.
To Bjorn.
I think it's very difficult, for such a talented player to really listen and let's say do what the coach says, because she has so much power, in her shots. I mean, I never seen anybody to hit the ball so fast with so little effort. And I think she respects Bjorn as her husband, as her coach, and he was a great player, and he is bringing a lot of quality in her game, That's why I think she won the Australian Open. And I know it's clay, but it's a fast clay. And if she has a good draw and she has good days and she's in the fight mode, it can happen because she has the shots.
Yeah. Yeah, she attributed her extra power because Jessie Pegula said at the beginning of the year when Keys beat her in a final that she'd been doing pull-ups and press-ups or push-ups, as they say in the US.
She looks so fit now. I was watching
Yeah.
her a few days ago, and she improved physically now also. Yeah. I mean, that's what I say. Like sometimes the talented players are difficult to coach because they have so much talent and they are winning matches and they're being top 20 without big effort. And imagine if they put up, with the effort, then they are winning Grand Slams. And that's what happened to her. A little bit late, but better late than never.
Totally. I totally agree. Let's look at the men's matches for tomorrow. Carlos Alcaraz, by the way, is still playing. It looks like he's going to come through in 3 sets against Jumeur. We've got Talon Griekspoor against Ethan Quinn. Yannick Sinner's going to face Jerzy Lehečka. Alexander Zverev's up against Kaboli. Kaboli is my dark horse, having won at Hamburg. João Fonseca. Wow, this is going to be a crazy match. He's facing Jack Draper, the 5th seed from Great Britain. Andrei Rublev is up against Artur Fils. Alex Bublik faces Rocker. Norrie against Fernley, an all-British matchup. And then Novak Djokovic is going to play Misulic. Any thoughts, Vlado, on the match to watch from those ones we've just stated? Anything that pops out at you?
I don't even remember all the matches you mentioned, I know a couple of guys.
Lehečka is pretty decent.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys. Also, this guy from Austria, Misulic, is trying to, long time to come, to the top. Very, very hardworking guy. I mean, Zverev Kaboli can be interesting. Actually, I played with the father of Kaboli many years. He's same age. He was a very good junior. Yeah, he was a very good player as well. I Fonseca Draper. I think it's going to be very interesting match. And these 2 matches, I think the best. Lehečka Sinner. Obviously, Sinner playing unbelievable, but I was watching Sinner in the last match, and I'm not sure if he's 100% healthy. I think he was having some back pain. He was not showing it much, but there was some signs in his face. We were watching together with Linda, and we were like, he's not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
But so for me, these 2 matches, Zverev, Kaboli, Fonseca, Draper, I think good matches. I think this guy Roca, I heard from other coaches that he's pretty good and he's coming up, so that can be interesting. Bublik always puts a show, so maybe these 2 matches. Yeah.
And Vania, what about Novak Djokovic looking for another major that would bring him up to 25, 4th here at Roland Garros, see if he can get the job done. He's got past his opponents so far quite straightforwardly. What do you think about his chances?
I mean, he's playing someone young that doesn't have a lot of experience being in this stage of the tournament. Yeah. So just given that, I think that it helps him. It's definitely benefiting him because he's have so much experience there. His year has been so topsy-turvy, starting well in Australia, but struggling kind of throughout this year, just trying to figure out his form. I think it seems like splitting with Andy was a good decision, probably for both of them. Well, at least for Novak. And so I think it's great that he's got a few matches under his belt. I think the biggest warning flag is whether his body can hold up, because he's got the experience. He's still got the game, but his body has been the one thing that's been breaking down for him.
He's beaten Mackie McDonald in 3 and Corentin Moutet in 3. So the draw hasn't been bad for him, Vlado. Can you see Novak going all the way?
Well, yes. Why not? This guy is a legend. We cannot imagine what this guy did is unbelievable. And obviously the like Vania said, the body is the only question. If he can go through. I don't think that the cooperation with Andy was bad. For sure he got some tips. There was maybe no results, but sometimes like when you are trying to improve things and
Yeah.
And after being injured and, this and that, it's not easy for him to wake up. I think his body hurts like hell every morning, when he stands up from the bed, because I know how it is. I'm older too.
Yeah.
And so it's not easy, but sometimes, it happens that, the information and all the practices and everything, comes a little bit later, even because it's 1 week after they stop with Andy and then he wins the tournament. So
Yes.
Obviously they did a good job, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but yes, like I said, the guy knows everything about tennis. I think he needs a good motivation. He needs to have a good game plan, and then he needs to stay healthy.
And I don't want to say that Andy wasn't good. I don't.
No, I know.
I just think that, I mean, as you know, I think that Andy was a peer, and the energy between a coach and a player is important.
Yeah.
I think, it felt like there was a lot of familiarity and a lot of respect going, but as kind of compatriots before, and and I just wondered if he needed someone a little bit more removed from that. You know?
Somebody he can swear on.
Yeah.
He needs to yell at somebody. Yeah, I know. He was afraid to yell at Andy. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's a great point. And they sort of laughed, didn't they, when they went on court for Rafa Nadal's ceremony? Andy said, "Now you've got a good coach. You're back to winning titles." And he took Geneva.
Exactly.
That's a very good ending. 18-7 for Novak so far. He's lost 4 times in his opening round of tournaments, but other than that, he's done decently and he's in the reckoning. Vlado, then, if you had to put your money on someone winning the ATP side of Roland Garros, who would it be?
Oh, this is difficult.
Vania, you can start thinking while Vladimir's contemplating.
I wish it's Djokovic.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not his biggest fan. But I just, it would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. I think he's a good player. I think he's still capable to win the title. I think Alcaraz obviously is a very good player too. But if somebody can beat him, it's Novak or Sinner. So, and I'm not sure about Sinner. Like, obviously, for the moment, probably the best player in the world. He's young, energetic, best shots, fast, and everything. But I think Djoko can win.
All right, so Djokovic with the heart and the head. Maybe Alcaraz, the defending champ. Vania, on the spot now. Your turn. Who's going to win the men's?
So I'm going to just go with a safe guess, but I am biased. I'm going to say Alcaraz. And I say that because I'm biased. I really want one of the youngsters to become, the next generation of champions. And I think Alcaraz is the closest to doing that, to, really start breaking records and things like that. So he's got to start now.
He's got such a joy for it, doesn't he? It's just
Sinner will be difficult for Alcaraz. Sinner and Alcaraz is the future for sure. And like why I wish Djoko, because I think next year it will be difficult for Djoko already.
Yeah.
Every year is more and more difficult for him. So that's why I wish for Djoko to win.
Vladimir, Platenik, you've been wonderful to chat to. Vania King, you as well. Thank you both so much for coming on Roland Garros Live on Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, Vania.
Thanks, Candy. It was awesome.
Great. Thanks, and thanks, Vlado. Brilliant to have you back on again, and I'll see you both soon.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for watching Diary of a Professional Tennis Coach. Please like, subscribe and share, and we'll be back soon with another great episode.